Okay, so we are going to draw the head. We're going to go over the proportions of the head, as well as drawing it from a few different angles. So it's very important to learn the proportions of the head so that you can then draw it from your imagination. Being comic book artists, what we want to do is we want to be able to get our ideas down really fast. And in order to do that, we need to have a good understanding of the form and where things sit on the face. So I'm going to assume that most of the people watching this are human and have therefore seen many human heads. So you'll have a basic understanding of where things sit and how things look. So to start off with, let's just rough in the basic shape of a forward-facing head. So there's nothing special to this. I start with the circle and then I base in the jaw here. Okay? So if I do a side-on head, in fact, what I'll do is I will grab this guy and I'll move him over here. And I'll get rid of this jawline here. Okay, so we're going to do a side-on head here. So with the side-on head, generally I make this circle a little bit longer. So let's just something like that. Because at the back of the head, if you notice, there is a bulb. So if I was to attach the neck, it would attach back here. So the neck does not attach underneath here like this. It attaches to the back of the bulb of the head here. And that's the first thing to remember. And I know when this is on drawing heads, not so much on drawing the body, but if you're looking at a body from the side on, so this is our little head here, okay, and we've got our body. This is our little, it's our arm, our hand here. So that's our guy from the side here. His head will attach with his neck on this backwards angle like that. Okay, it will not attach straight up and down like this. Okay, it's always going to have that angle there. Okay, that's just the way we're built. Alright, let's get back to the head now. Okay, so if we divide the head in half, and I'm going to give you rough estimates here. So when I say in half, I mean roughly in half. Okay, you don't have to get a ruler and measure it, but if we divide this roughly in half, that's where our brow and eyes will go. So that one's a bit high, let's bring it back down. And then if we divide this space here in half, that's where our nose will go. Okay? And if we divide the next space in half, so divide this space here in half, that's roughly where our mouth will sit. Okay, pretty simple. So we'll put those in a second, rough those in a second. Our ears are the next simplest thing to do. So our ears, top of our ear is roughly where our brow is, and ends roughly where our nose is, like that. So in between those lines there. So I block in my ear here. Pretty simple, okay? Now, the ear is on the side of the head here. If we're looking at this from a side-on view, it's directly in the middle. Okay, so this is the center line here, directly in the middle like this. In fact, I think I'll move that back just a bit more. And again, remember, it's roughly where the brow is up here, and roughly where the nose is down there. Okay? Alright, now we're getting somewhere. So, alright, so let's move in a bit closer here, and let's put some of these features in. So let's put the eyes in first. So with the eyes, and I'm not going to put a proper eye, I'm just going to put a mark for the eye here. What we are looking for is the gap between the eyes is roughly the same length of an eye. So what we will have is we'll have an eye, space of an eye, and then an eye. Okay? And this is important because this helps us line up our nose, where our nose goes. Now, so on this line here where our nose goes, we have, and if you grab your pencil that you're using to draw, whatever you're using to draw with, and you line it up with your eye here, and you follow that down. So say this is my pencil. Then where it ends here is where the nose ends. Okay, so if I put two lines down here, that roughly blocks in my nose, so I can, and again, I'm not going to put in details, I'm not working on the features for now, I'm just working on the proportions. So we have an eye, space for an eye, and an eye. So the nose is essentially, from the front view, the width of an eye. Okay? Simple. Alright, so let's move on to the mouth now. So, again, if you hold your pencil up to your own face and look in the mirror, you will see that from the middle of the eye, if you draw a line down, that is where the corners of the mouth are going to go. So if we put a little dot here and here, the corner of the mouth, that is going to be our mouth there. Okay? Alright, so let's transfer this over to the side-on head now. So, whoops, before we do that, we better put some brows in here. So let's just indicate our eyebrows here a bit. So the other thing you'll notice is, say we have the nostrils here, the eyebrow will line up where the nostril, in the innermost part of the nostril is. Okay? So I'm just going to undo that. So the eyebrow will come just past the eyes. And it will end just past the eyes on the other side like that. Generally speaking, of course. Alright, so let's put our brow in here. So the brow comes in. So if you look at your face side on, we have this little indent here. Then it comes back out to the nose, like so. Then we'll do our mouth. So the lip will come out forwards a bit. Then the bottom lip will come out as well. And then of course our chin will come out like so. So I'm just going to undo that. I think bring my nose up just a little bit, so I can bring my mouth up a bit. There we go. Much better. So that's the basic profile. But now we obviously want to put the features in. So if you notice, the middle of the eye lines up with this side of the mouth here. So in the middle of the eye is the part of the eye which is the furthest forward on the head. So if I draw my mouth back here, like so, remembering of course that the mouth goes further than the nose. We draw the nose in a bit here. The mouth goes a bit further. When we draw our eye, we can't have our eye close up to the side of our head like this, because if we draw this line up, you can see it doesn't match up. Remember, the center of the eye is the furthest forward. So what we need to have here is something more like this. And in fact, I would even set that eye back in the head a bit more like that. Okay, let's draw our brow in here. So this little indent here is our brow. So that's this little gap here. Okay, so that's where the brow is, and the brow sticks out over the eye. So it's pretty easy to see in a mirror. So we'll bring that guy forwards a bit like that. And there we have the rough proportions of the head. Okay, so the next thing we'll put in is some cheekbones. So the height of the cheekbones, where the cheekbones sit on your face, is dependent on the person. But we're just going to indicate just a little cheekbone roughly about there. Okay. Alright, so, and you can draw this in like that, so you have the actual cheekbone shape if you want. And the other thing is we have up on the side of the temple here, we have these flat spots that go right here. Okay, so to indicate those flat spots, I'm just going to put a little line going up like this. Okay, like that. Okay, alright, now we're cooking. So now we have to transfer these proportions to the head when we turn it and move it. So let's do a 45 head now. So something very important to keep in mind when we're doing a head on the 45. So let's just start out drawing him, shall we? The first thing to remember is if the guy is looking off that way, all of these lines are going to shift in the direction the head turns. So his center line is going to shift over to the side. So if we draw the center line here, so instead of it being straight down here, it's going to shift off to the left of the screen here. Okay? Which means his ear is going to shift in as well. So obviously, when it's side on, it's right on that halfway mark. So we're not going to bring it into here, but we're just going to bring it in a little bit like that. So just going to indicate that. Now obviously I don't have the eyes or nose marked out, so I can't really draw the earring because I don't know quite where it's sitting yet. But we need to draw the jawline in. So let's bring this guy down here. And rough in this jawline. Now we divide, remember, we divide this distance in half and we get where our eyes and brows sit. And then divide that in half again. That's where our nose sits. And divide the next one in half, that's where our mouth sits. Now, these lines don't go straight across. The shape is round, okay? So if I do this line here, which is this line here, as it comes to the side here, it's going to start to wrap around the head. And as that wraps around, that's going to give us our measuring lines for our ear. So I'm just going to knock this back a little bit so that we can see what we're doing. It got a little bit messy. Like that, okay? Alright. And you can see, we're going to see a bit of this. So on the side here, it's got that straight line going up on the side of the front of the head, but obviously it's got this bulby section here on the back of the side on head. So when we start turning this guy into 45, we're going to be able to see some of that bulb of the head, and the neck is going to attach back here like so. Okay, alright, easy enough. Now let's chuck some of these features in here. So let's put our eyes in, I guess. Well, I like to start with the nose, so I'm going to indicate the brow section here. I'm going to put my nose in here. Again, I'm not going to do any details on that, I'm just going to rough it in. Then I'm going to rough in my eye here and my eye here. Now, because the head is turned, and again, I'm not going into detail on the nose, but if we imagine the nose somewhat like a pyramid, and we turn this in that direction, which is what we're doing when we're turning the head here, we're going to be able to see less of that shaded side and more of the unshaded side. Okay, so it's important to realize that. So if this is the side of the nostril, which matches up with the eye, then it's going to move this way as the head turns. It's going to hide behind this white bit here, like that. Okay, so instead of drawing a line directly here on the side, it's going to be off to the side a little bit like that. Okay, so just keep that in mind, which is why the eye now goes past that part there. Okay. All right, let's indicate our brow here, and let's put our mouth in. So again, roughly the center of the eyes. We have our chin down here. Now we'll put our cheekbones in. So let's bring this guy in here. So it's a bit hard for us to see there, so I'm just going to knock that back a little bit. Okay, so this is our brow here. Cheekbone sticks out here, and it comes in. You can see here it sticks out and then comes in. Down to our mouth like that. Okay, now obviously these heads are looking a little bit blocky, but again, I just really want you to get the idea of the proportions of the head and where the eyes and nose and other features sit on the head. Okay, and then obviously as we turn the head more, we will start to see less of this side of the face and more of this side of the face. Okay, everything will move over to the side. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to draw a head on a 45 degree for you. What have I done here? Okay, let's okay. Alright, I'm just going to draw a head on a 45 degree angle for you. Okay, and I might do it a little bit more than 45 degree, but it's the same principles will apply. So I'm drawing my circle here. Now when I put my center line in, is, you know, it's different depending on the head. If it's an angle that I've drawn lots, then, you know, I might just draw the shape of the head first. You can see my lines are a little bit tighter than what they were before, and I've done this many times, and you will also end up doing this many times, so it'll start to become a lot easier for you. So this is the exact process I would use for roughing it out. And again, I know we haven't talked about any of the features yet. But we will get onto that in the next one. Let's give this guy a bit of a scowling face. Bit of a brooding face, maybe. Hard to see quite what's going on there at the minute. It'll become more evident as I start to finish the head out, but I'm just roughing everything in at the minute. So let's indicate the hairline here. You know, I didn't talk about the hairline before, so I'll just quickly jump back, and I hate to jump around, but we'll quickly jump back and I'll just indicate where that goes. So if we come up here, and I like to put it just above halfway between here and here. It depends on the age of your character and different things like that, because obviously it's the older you get, the further back your hairline recedes. So that's just where I like to put it, generally speaking. And you know, you can put whatever shape you want for the hairline. You know, could be more like that, you know, more hard edged, it's up to you. That's basically where I would put it though. Like that. Okay, let's get back to finishing out this head here. So what I would do, let's put some hair on this guy, hey? Give him a little bit of a sideburn here. Something like that. Works well for me, I think. Alright, so my next step from here would be to get my eraser, and I'm going to knock the whole thing back. Again, this would be just like using a kneaded eraser if I was using pencil and paper. Just going to knock it back, and then I'm going to go in and tighten it all up. Doing the brow here. Let's get back down to the nose now. And of course, this is all dependent on your specific style. Good thing about art is not everybody draws the same as everybody else. Everybody has their unique style, which is great. So I like to come in really close when I do the features like that. And then I may take it back out a little bit. To finish everything else off. Okay, so start indicating this hair. So this is the bulb on the back of the head there that we can see. Don't forget to indicate this flat spot on the temple here. Okay, so there we have our head there. Alright guys, so hopefully you followed that pretty easily and you have a reasonable grasp on the basic proportions of the head now.